Yes,
Good
God.
morning, good morning. Welcome to God is on the Move channel. Today is a special edition where I have Brian and Sharon, who are survivors of cancer. And today the program is Against All Odds. I am still here. I'm so honored because Brian is my brother-in-law. Let's welcome and just
Good
tell us a
morning,
bit about
good
yourself.
afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Sharon.
Good afternoon, Brian. God bless you. And good afternoon, Prophetess Regina. God
Good
bless you.
afternoon.
An honor to
Good
be here.
afternoon.
Thank you.
So in the first part of the show, we will have Brian sharing his testimony, and the second part, it will be Sharon. So God bless you. Brian, how long have you had cancer for? Maybe just take us from the first day you got the diagnosis. How long ago was that?
Wow. Wow. So in September 2001, I got diagnosed with the cancer, and it was cancer in the stomach. And I was roughly about 35, I think. So it came a bit of a shock because I was told that type of cancer is more found in the elderly. So I was shocked to find out at a young age that I had cancer. Then later on in the years, I found out that my father, who passed 87, it's a kind of inheritary gene. So I've got a 40 genes. So I've got a 40 genes, what's called like Limp syndrome. So it's something what you inherit for your parents. So guarantee one of the parents. So if one of the parents is got cancer, then guarantee one of the siblings. So it just happened to be me. So then to October 2018, then I had total removal of the large stomach. Then it was 11 years later, same thing again. September 2011, wasn't feeling well. I remember watching TV, and there was a national campaign, and it was about bowel cancer, and it was saying I could be lost like a stone. I think within a week or 2 weeks, they were one of the signs in passing blood. I hadn't passed blood, but I'd lost like a stone within those 2 weeks. So that was one of the first times. So I went back into hospital. October 2011, had 12, had right bowel move. In that meantime, twice I was offered chemo and radiotherapy, but me personally, I looked into it, I researched into it, and I did refuse it. And I remember really just the experience what my father went through with the chemo radiotherapy, and I looked into it, and it was my personal opinion why I refused it. And a bit absolutely, and I say to people, I think that was probably one of the best decisions I ever made in life, because I'm still here. Went on to live a very good life. I live a very good life. I eat very healthy, don't drink, don't smoke. But it was just unfortunate. This year in May, there was a national campaign where they send that screening box for bowel for people who are 60s. So I did a bowel screening. About 2 weeks later, it came back a letter to said, need to further investigation. But the letter said, it doesn't mean that you had cancer. And it was just a coincidence. I then had to go into hospital anyway for my normal every 2 years checkup. But this time it wasn't really good. So usually when I go into hospital for my checkups, it's usually I'm in there maybe about 10, 15 minutes, get talking to the consultants, having a good chit chat, and they say, okay, see you in another 2 years' time. This year, it was my actual consultant who doesn't really do that type of job. And she went, some reason whatsoever, she went much further than anyone else, like, because the camera, it's a colonoscopy camera, and it was looking inside of me. And this time she went much further than anyone else, like really like looking, investigating. And before we started, we was having a nice little chit chat. And then the chit chat went to quiet. And then she kind of grabbed my wrist and she just put her head down, started shaking. And she goes, oh, we found something. And she said, we believe it's cancer. But she said, you know what, it's a new cancer. So that didn't quite sink in, because I was a bit shocked to think like, wow, where could this have come from? Like a new type of cancer. Anyway, a week later, it was confirmed that it was a a new cancer. What was good about, I must admit, what was good, I had a fantastic experience this year with the hospital. And in June the 21st, I went into operation. I had my first operation. I say my first operation because the family was told it was going to take 3 to 4 hours to operate. But my operation took 10 hours. And I can only put that down to they had to open me up. And it was a lot of scar tissues, the old scar tissues, what they had to go through. Anyway, the operation was successful. But then I picked up an infection. I can only put that down to it might have been where I was open up for so long. So then I had to go back into the theatre again on the 25th of June. So that was 4 days later. And they went back and reopened it all up. So we went for the same scenario again. And I'll be absolutely honest with you, I did say to my wife, I honestly didn't believe I was going to pull through this one because, I'm 60. First operation, as I said, was very traumatic, 10 hours. And it was a bad experience. And I was thinking, I'm not going to make this one. And I always remember they gave me so much morphine. Morphine, in a sense, it relieves the pain, but then in a sense, there's some evil, dark things going on. And I always remember I was like praying to God, like saying like, why I'm going through this. And to be absolutely honest with you, at one stage I kind of got angry because I say I pray every night and say I pray every day. And I kind of got angry and because my relationship with God is kind of personal. So I kind of stopped praying and I kept on questioning like, why am I going through this again? And as I said, when they were giving me morphine, it left me, put it this way, it left me with traumatic experience that I had to get counselling. And as I said, I was kind of really angry with God, so I stopped praying and stuff like that. But do you know what? Everyone has a journey, and I always say there's a reasons to everything. But by the grace of God, when I came home, I finally got discharged. I looked at things, and I talk to God every morning, every night. And I just put things in his hands and I just say, there's a reason for everything. But you know what? I'm so glad I'm back at home. I got discharged. I'm back at home. I had counselling that went really good. And I'm in a really much better place. And I just put that down to God and I say, I pray every night, every morning. And I'm getting back to who I was before. I mean, I've lost just over 1.5 stone. So I'm trying to put that back on. And because with my operation, I had the total removal of my colon. So they've removed all of my colon out. So I have to wear a colostomy bag. So which means if you don't really know, it just means like where someone might go to toilet normally, the toilet, my if you want to call it feces, comes out through a stomach, but through a bag. So, and I've got that permanently. So that's what I have permanently. So that still getting used to it. So I've kind of given it a name because it is kind of a personal thing. So I've called it side chick because I don't call it a colostomy bag. I call it side chick because it's part of me. It's part of my life now. So it's just, so it's something what I'm getting used to. It's not been easy because it's a whole new way of living. My diet is supposed to be changed, but I'll be absolutely honest with you. When I saw the dietitian, the stuff they wanted me to eat was like white bread, white pasta, cheese, milk, lots of sweets, crisps, stuff like that. As I said, I eat a very healthy diet, and so they were telling me all the wrong stuff to eat. So really, I'm kind of learning to eat new stuff, but I've kind of gone back to eating the healthy Caribbean, and just gone back to eating normal ways. What's really good, I have put a little bit of weight on, not a lot, but I think it's gonna take a long time to put the weight on. But I'm just glad that I haven't lost no weight. And as I said, I'm feeling a much better place. Like mentally, I had the counselling, and I feel better. So we stopped that, and that's always open if I need to go back. And my body's just taken. So I've not gone back to work. because at the moment I'm still healing. I may look right on the outside, but my inside, I'm still really healing. So a lot of times I'm at home resting. I might go for a walk. If I go for a walk and I go for too much, then guarantee the next day, then I'm in bed, I'm tired, I'm in pain. So there's not much I can do at the present moment. But I'm in a good place mentally. And I just give thanks to God as I do every day, and that I am alive. You know, there's people out there in worse positions than me. So I'm just grateful that I can, you know, close my eyes, get up, I can walk, I can talk, I can breathe, I can live like a normal life. Maybe not do the things that I want to do, but I'm alive. So I give honestly every day and every night. You know, I thank God so much for keeping me alive.
Praise God.
Wow. You know, as you have heard, it's really a touching story, Brian, because you're talking about a journey of over 20 years of cancer. Now you're 60. You were somewhere you would have been in your late 30s then. If you're 60 now, it was 3 years ago, it's 2001. So you said you didn't drink, you didn't smoke, but then when you first heard of the diagnosis, what was your reaction? Did you just feel like, oh my God, this is just a repeat of what has happened? And what I also need to bring to light, there are some conditions or diseases that are genetical, that if you're born in that family, they might miss one person and they will come on to the other generation. And in different families, you will find it could be cancer, it could be high blood pressure, it could be different things that affect people repeatedly. So when you first got your diagnosis, what was your reaction? And how were you able to do that?
I'll be honest, I was angry because back then I was doing boxing and I was trying to become a professional boxer. So back then, to then be told, heard that news, and because I think before the first signs or symptoms I was having, I was like passing blood through front and back, constant times, dizzy spells, little blackouts. At one stage, I was working at the time, so I thought I might have been working too hard. And I think over a year, I tried to monitor myself, and I couldn't fathom it out until obviously I'd gone into hospital and then been told, you know, the cancer is hereditary. But my first initial reactions, I was very, very angry because I looked at it. I'm a young guy trying to be a professional boxer, trying to be famous, very fit, overfit, very, very healthy. So I couldn't understand why, you know, a young guy like me got cancer. Don't smoke, don't drink. Whereas I've got friends, you know, we've all got friends, we all know people, but, you know, either do smoke, do drink, do drugs. But I could never understand why me, a very clean living person, great. So initially I was very, very, very angry, and I was angry with the whole wide world as well, because I was in a shock. And then, you know, as I said, I've had it 3 times, so I'm here now. But my initial reactions was anger and shock. And it's true, if as I said, if a parent has cancer, it's you know, guaranteed one of the siblings would have it. So I remember when I was younger, my mum had told me, you know, that my father had cancer, and it's, you know, there's a gene, and one of the children would inherit it, and it would skip a generation. That generation happened to be me. So to a certain extent, upon reflection, I wasn't surprised it wasn't me. And even now that I've had the cancer, I have 3 children, and now one of my children had it. So my older son, he's had cancer twice. He's had the same procedures. So same thing like me. You know, he's had like his stomach, he's had like all his stomach taken out. So he wears a colostomy bag, and he has 2 for the urine and the feces. So it is a really, I don't know, you know what, I say to a lot of people, I call cancer, I don't really say cancer too much. I call it like my silent foe of a friend, because it's something, if you want to call it, I guess I'm born with an hereditary disease. I say silent, but a lot of times is cancer, you could look at it on the outside, but you just don't know what's going on the inside. And because I've had this 3 times now, I look at it, you know, it's a boxing match that I'm going into, you know, 3 times cancer's come and challenged me. 3 times, you know, it's it's got the good of me, but 3 times I've come out the winner. And so I look at it as it's my personal battle, and I look at it as a boxing match. And I honestly believe that besides God being, giving me that will and power, a lot of it is if you've got a positive mind, you can pull through. And because you have a positive mind, you can have a positive body, and I've done that for the last 3 times, and that's why I think that's kind of pulled me through. Because as I said, 3 times they've tried to get me to take chemo and radiotherapy, and when I went in for my recent operation, and when I went to see the doctors there, they were quite shocked that the previous 2 cancers that I didn't have no radiotherapy and chemo, they couldn't understand. That I kind of looked well, I went so long, without this, so they couldn't understand. And, as I said, your husband was there, prayed for me. And I think what pulled me through as well, which was fantastic, and was knowing that you, my brothers, the whole family, I had friends through friends, family. I had so much people praying for me. And I do believe in the power of prayer. And that's what I say, everything for a reason, And so when I did that interview, I believe I'm here for a reason, and I'm still trying, and only God can tell me and show me that reason. And I think I'm here. That's why I gave that interview, was to spread the message, because there's too many people dying in silence. We're not talking about it, and that was a message I had to give out in an interview. It wasn't really about me. It was I wanted people to know my story, but I wanted to give people encouragement, that they're not on their own, not to suffer on their own. And I'm really pleased that the message went far wide. I had lots of people ringing me up, and I still get people, coming and talk to me, and people are asking me, can I let someone they might know has got cancer, can they listen to that message? And that's all I want, is for that to go as far as wide. And I hope that it can be of some encouragement to people and help people one way or the other. But, as I said, I believe I'm here for a purpose. And I'm hoping that I can feel that purpose before it's too late.
And you will, Brian, you will fulfill your purpose.
Amen.
You will live. I've been in the family for 15 years this year. Most probably it was a few years earlier you got cancer. You've always been a positive person who wants to laugh, joke around. You would not even know what the person has been through until you hear their story.
That's right.
And for me, I find when you go through very difficult times, you have to turn that bitterness into something good. And I've gone through seasons of difficulty, and actually wrote a book, Against All Odds. He made a way, that despite all that was against me, God made a way, or against us. So I know that there is a book coming for you. Soon or later you have your book out there, because it's important for people to know that whilst we are sitting at home doing our jobs, our shifts, our 9 to 5, our businesses, our hobbies, there are people living with chronic illnesses. There are people that it's not their fault. Things happen, genetically, spiritually, things can go wrong. But I do like the fact that has not hindered your relationship with God, because when bad things happen, and especially when you are saying, folks that would have been drinking and smoking and taking drugs, and you were never into that, and then to find yourself, yes, it's natural, it's human for you to ask God, why did I have to go through this? But what really, really moved me is that because you have kept that positive mind, one thing I realized out of many things in life, when you go through something, you can either decide that I want to die. That's the truth. You can actually say, I give up. But I have seen people that they would even put in hospice care, and they'll say, this is actually personally. I was looking after someone, they had said their end of life, but survived a year plus later on. I'm telling you, because this person, as much as they would have wanted to go, it wasn't their time. There was something God wanted to do in between. So I believe that despite what's happening, Brian, the best is before you. And the fact that recently also you managed to go on holiday. I mean, and I also like the aspect of counseling. And that's something that we need, counseling. We need to be able to, apart from praying, apart from this, reciting the words, it's good to talk about how you feel. Talking therapy, express your emotions, express that this is how I'm feeling, you know, and someone can just listen to you. Because when I look at it, even the last op, the second one I was there, we came to see you in hospital in Lewisham. The second, then you went, I think, as appointed the guys' hospital, but then this time around also you're back in Lewisham. And what I have to say is that you have wavered through heavy storms and heavy clouds, and you have beat the odds of cancer. As you said, you look at it like you're in a boxing ring. You have beat it, because I know many people that, even my husband, when he shared with me, when I first came in the family, the party shared with me, he said, when you had your first op, God gave him a way to pray even for the doctor. He just didn't know why he had to do that, but God led him to pray. So it goes to show that God's hand is on you. We don't fully understand the in-betweens, the why me, Lord, and why the third time again, you know, we don't fully understand. But what I thank God for is you are here to tell your story. And I believe no one can tell your story the way that you would tell us.